Judy here, Dr. Judy WTF, and this is a Valentine's Day special. I should call it a post-Valentine's Day special because Valentine's Day was yesterday, and I do the show on Thursday, so we'll cover a lot of ground. And if you are in a relationship with a narcissist, then you already know that loving a narcissist is not exactly wine and roses. And this is a call-in show, everyone. So please feel free to call in and get on the couch, and we could talk about love. We could talk about wine. We could talk about roses. But most importantly, why loving a narcissist isn't exactly wine and roses. So let's start here. For those of you who are involved with a narcissist or emerging from a narcissistic relationship, or even knows what that feels like, sounds like, looks like, moves like, then you might know that loving a narcissist is a one-way street. So if you love them, there's no reciprocity. So what does that mean? That means that you're in the relationship and they're sucking from you to gain favor from the relationship, and there is no we. So a narcissist plus a person who is not quite on that narcissistic scale or more ability to feel and have empathy is the perfect wine and roses for the narcissist because they'll get a lot out of you, but what you'll get out of them, not so much. So again, this is a call-in show, and please note the phone number 323-524-2599. So let's talk about narcissism from the point of view of why they're not able to love. Well, as I've mentioned on several shows, there are two main games of life that I'm aware of. One is love and intimacy, and the other game is power and control. So since they have not been able to be nourished and connected to, they don't know how to connect. And so the game of love and intimacy is sort of off the table unless they are in a state where they're falling in love until you have fallen head over heels into their love net, and then they could start to shift the system into power and control. And what does that look like? Not exactly wine and roses. So being that yesterday was Valentine's Day, I wonder how many of you listening had the experience that it was a very imbalanced type of day, or maybe even a day that wasn't acknowledged. I remember one narcissist saying to me, I don't believe in Valentine's Day. That's just a commercial holiday. So do you know what you get for Valentine's Day? Nothing, because I don't believe in it. So that would be one example of what Valentine's Day looks like with a narcissist. One thing that I have noticed, both professionally and personally, is that narcissists tend to be very, very cheap. They tend to be very cheap with their emotions. They even tend to be cheap with their money. And why is that? Because again, I'm using this as a grand metaphor to illustrate that they like to put as little into the system as possible, but they like to extract a lot. So I believe we have a call, and thank you so much for calling in. Hi, what is your name or the name you'd like me to call you by?
Yes, hi, Dr. Judy. You call me Bobby. Calling about a couple specific questions, but we could get right to the narcissist and all of that. One of my main questions was, it's that after doing so much work, could someone still get re-triggered into the point that they feel like that they're going to tear up? And that's one question. The other one is about keeping it neutral. And even though you have strong feelings, you have to, is it self-helpful to keep it neutral without getting a little bit annoyed? I'm just trying to ask some
Okay,
questions.
so with the first question about how
Yeah.
come you're still tearing up when you know better and you've gained a lot of knowledge, like, is that the question?
Well, I know why it came up because my partner got a phone call from a specific woman, and something bad happened. We all know about that uh, on the show, and she had his number in her phone from other dealings with my family's business, and she kind of to I don't like this term, but um, the, the, dialed it without realizing it. He was going to say butt dialing it, but it's like if someone just dials a number and they don't realize it. But he just told me, he's like, who was his voice? And then he replayed it. I was like, oh my God, that's the girl. And then I went into the kitchen, and for a second, I just was like, oh, damn it. Like, this was the person that my dad, he that was his girl. And and a lot of things came up, but then I just was kind of like a disciplinary on myself. I was kind of like, okay, Bob, let's take the dog for a walk. And
Okay, okay,
yeah,
just breathe.
I'm sorry. I,
Back up for a minute because I want to understand it. Don't want to interrupt you, but I really truly understand this. Who is this person to you, and what was she triggering in you?
well, okay, the person that you mean the person that called my partner?
Uh-huh. Why? Okay. So was this Valentine's Day? Is that when it happened?
This was today.
Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure that we're relevant to the topic because the topic is being in love with a narcissist and why that's not exactly wine and roses. Like what's hurtful about being in love with a narcissist? So maybe speak a little bit to that. Who is this person? Do you have deep feelings toward the person? What's it triggering in you?
Well, I have a quote partner that I've been with for it'll be 12 years, and we've been living together for close to 8 years, and we've got a dog together for 4 years. So it's pretty. Uh, uh, I mean, it's a financially, it's a emotionally charged relationship, and he went to my dad's funeral, and
Okay, so
what got charged.
hold on, hold on. I just want to make sure it's relevant to the topic because the topic is loving a narcissist. Is he narcissistic?
Yeah, well, he does have anger issues, and there are times I look at him and I do have like thinking, okay, is this my part of my past coming back to haunt me? Because there are similarities. Absolutely. I met
Okay,
him before I.
so what did he trigger in you? What got triggered?
Well, what got triggered was the fact that he had a message from one of the people that tried to hurt me at my dad's restaurant. I mean, they put the metal coins in the Sally, and she called him, and as he said, ass dialed. I hate using that frame, but that's what happened. And then I sat and I said, well, that's why I didn't go to my dad's funeral, because he liked her more than me. And as my partner, he didn't even bother to even leave a message to say don't call her. So I for a second I went to the kitchen and I was kind of like tearing up. I'm like, my God, like Dad, he meant that much to you that I mean it was yeah.
So this
It,
really
it,
is relevant between you and your partner. What were you hoping your partner would say to her?
I was hoping my partner would say, don't call me ever again and lose my number and at least have my back.
Okay, so
So
let's talk about that. Okay, so
sure.
narcissist, loving a narcissist means loving somebody that doesn't have your back. And I'm not saying that your partner is, full blown NPD. We all have narcissistic qualities, but it's always going to hurt when something comes up from the environment that reminds us that our partner, the person we live with, for whatever reasons, the person we're most invested in, doesn't have our back. So then I turn that back to you to say, you've done a lot of work on yourself, okay? Um, do you still feel that this partner is giving enough to you to make it relevant to your life and nourishing enough to your life?
Well, right now, I mean, him and the dog and me are all tied. And when you're involved with the narcissist, when you're in any type of deep relationship, there is financial um, enmeshment. There's
Yes,
shoestrings
I
that it's
understand.
almost like
Okay.
that. Yeah, and there are. If you could do pros and cons, I was told years ago by a police agent, just with communication, write pros and cons about anybody, and there is more good than bad. Like I could honestly say he's more good than bad. Like as much as I would love to tell him that he should tell certain people to go to hell or just not ignore them, it's first of all my trigger. My question is, even if you do the work, do things could certainly trigger you, like to the point that you kind of tear up if you think about,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's handle that
I,
question. Even though you've done the work, I think you realize through the work that you're with somebody that you're with for, you know, obviously some financial gain, and you share the dog, and you share a life together, you share a living space together. So you have history. So, having done a lot of the work, you realize the pros and the cons. So, one of the things that you have to kind of do is be realistic in your expectations of this person. So if you already know that he doesn't exactly have your back, there are going to be times when he doesn't have your back. And so then you can say, ah, this is just one of those hurtful times. However, a lot of times he does have my back, and he has my financial back, and he's a good parent to our dog, and he's a nice roommate, and I have company. So you kind of have to, recalibrate on that, uh, and also adjust your expectations. Now, if he's not a full blown narcissist, then there's nothing wrong with having a peaceful, healing dialogue with him and see if he can elevate himself so that he can have your back. Have you tried that with
now I'm not. I am not. Excuse me, interrupting you. Sometimes it's hard for me to. If I feel nervous, I don't want to seem. But he does apologize when he knows he's wrong. So I wouldn't say that's full blown. And if we have any discussions about our dog, he was like, "Well, what are you spending that I don't already give her in terms of certain things for her teeth or her well being?" So I kind of just answered the question since would a full blown narcissist apologize? No,
they,
you could,
they may
or
apologize
maybe
to wait, let me just get this point across because it's really important. They may apologize to appease. Do they mean it from the bottom of their heart? Probably not. Are they apologizing so they could keep gaining favor from you? Probably yes. The easy apology. So, again, this person that you're with, you've already determined has pros and cons. So the worst thing we could do is set up expectations within our own mind. So if we already know that they're not all that empathic, then we can just say, well, okay, I'm choosing it because it's good for me in this and this area, and I'll keep working on it with my partner, especially if my partner is amenable to growth. So so that's one way of looking at it. So is it going to be wine and roses all the time? Certainly not. I think one reason you do tear up is because, again, it was such an assault to you to have coins put in your salad. And if the person calling him is the person that put the coins in the salad, that's a major
Was
trauma trigger.
absolutely, and that was the woman that my dad was meshed with. He was in love with her. He was she was in her 40s and had a daughter, and she took over the restaurant. So he went to the girl's wedding. He was so in love with her, and even when I said that, she tried to hurt me. I remember like, literally this afternoon thinking, my God, Dad, you loved her more than your own son. And of course I got tears, but I told him, I said, Al, block her number. He said, she must have dialed me from a different number because he didn't know the number. But of course it was a trigger, but are we ever strong enough to overcome triggers, or is it human nature? That's,
I think it depends how deep it goes, you see. Anytime we're still triggered by something, it means that there's that sore spot within us, and a parent can cause huge sore spots, especially if they betray their own children, in which case he did because he didn't uh, cut off a relationship with somebody that was hurting you. On the contrary. Okay, so I just want to bring it back to topic relevancy, which is Valentine's Day, where our expectations are way up there. It's a holiday,
am I
right? The world is filled with roses and wine and balloons and cards and everything. And so, we have a certain level of expectation. And then when we're in the presence of a narcissist, let's say, celebrating Mother's Day, we may um, we may project our wishes, wants, and needs on them, but they're not capable of fulfilling it. So let's go back to your significant other. So you may project your wishes and wants and needs on him and say, wow, here's a really important area. I wish my partner would have my back. I wish he would have told her to never call again. I wish these things, but he didn't. So here we have a parallel process where
oh,
you feel betrayed by him.
yes, absolutely. And I even though he went to my dad's funeral and went face to face with him, he couldn't even say that how nasty it was that they tried to even hurt me. Like it went to my thoughts about your comments of like some people are. I thought to myself, okay, well, that's the devil. She's pure evil. And then I went to the kitchen, like I just said, and I was like, damn it, Dad. Like she meant more to you than me. Like it was a conflict. But then instead of getting angry, I cheered up, and I was like, this is not what I want.
So look,
This is
Robert,
not what I
okay,
want.
okay, let Bobby, we have to have realistic
Yeah.
expectations. If your partner goes to your father's
Okay.
funeral, okay, he went to your father's funeral, yes? Is that
Yes,
what
you did.
Okay, so that's not a time for him to go there and confront everybody. It's a funeral. He wants to confront this person or your father, well, too late on that, or your mother. Then a funeral is not a good arena to do it in because it's just not a therapy session, right? It's a funeral.
Right.
So
Right.
so
Right.
so right, so for you to feel hurt and slighted by the fact that he didn't go to the funeral and make an announcement that the she devil is here, or the mother who's another she devil is here, is too much of an expectation. Can you see that?
I could see that, and you're 100% right, as usual, and that's always, especially what you said is like tapping at my brain to lower my expectations because with this partner, he, he does more good than wrong. I can I have to say that because he's really not a bad guy, but he has narcissistic tendencies, and you know what? So do I. So
Okay, so
But with
let me go
uh,
to my panel number seven, panel seven, okay? And we can,
paradigm,
okay, seven, which is paradigm shift, synergy. I call that my synergy panel. So let's say that you're the blue bubble and he's the yellow bubble, okay? Is there more light than darkness?
it
In,
depends on the time. I mean, when we're together, everything is fine, and there's a good ebb and flow, and we drink our coffee together. We just talked about caring for each other, and it's really no bad intentions at all.
okay, so now that brings me to, no relationship is going to exude light all the time. There will be moments of disconnect, correct? There are going to be moments of
Yes.
narcissistic injury, which we already know, probably in every relationship. And so the key then is how quickly can you reconnect, because there's always going to be rips in relationship, but how quickly can we reconnect and repair? So if you have a narcissist in your life, it's going to be little to never. They just don't repair. They may superficially apologize. They usually blame you for the disconnect. They may disappear. Um, I know I have
Dr. Judy, I'm
a
pretty.
caller, but hold on, because I do want to take the other caller, but I want to finish this with you. You have to know.
Well,
Okay, you got to know who.
well, you know what? For the thing, I'm pretty good at detecting when someone is being a phony, and that's why I could say he's not completely uh, a bad person because I could tell when someone is being genuine and when they're just being
Okay,
um,
so
a,
look, because the topic is so relevant to Valentine's Day and narcissists, there's probably a bit of narcissism in him. He lets you down sometimes. Maybe there's enough goodwill because you do drink coffee and have all these good interactions for you to revisit it and say, hey, look, when you didn't have my back, it really hurt my feelings. And I want everybody to get a copy of my book and everybody to read the Peaceful Healing Dialogue. And we could revisit this the other time. I'm going to take the next caller, but I want to make the
Thank
point to you.
you so much, Dr. Judy, and happy Valentine's Day. I so appreciate this. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome, and thank you for calling. And just remember, we're never always synergistic, but if you have a partner that we can repair with, that's a big deal. Okay. Thank you so much for calling in, and I'm sure we'll be in touch. Okay. Hopefully the next caller
All
is
right.
still there.
714, you're on the air with Dr. Judy.
Yes, hi, Dr. Judy. This is Homa. I'm calling regarding actually my brother. It's involved with the loving and caring girlfriend with the four kids, and she already had one kid from the past relationship.
Okay.
And what is happening, the loving care that he was giving, she took it totally different way, and she kidnapped the kids after they've been together for more than 15 years, and kidnapped the kids and manipulating the kids, and also toward their father now, and
Wait. Who's
destroying the whole.
manipulating? Hold on. Who's manipulating the kids?
No, the mother is manipulating kids against the father, and she's actually go through all the lie manipulation with the kids, and the kids are between 11 to 8. So he has four kids with that lady, with the narcissistic mother. But what is actually going on, he does not know, and he always go to the trap of that narcissistic mother, and he doesn't know. The acknowledgement, I think it's important in this case, and also how to save him and how to save the kids that is going to be brainwashed by the mother.
Right. Right.
That is,
Okay. So
that,
wait, let me just make sure I have it correctly. So this is your brother, yes?
yes, this is my brother. Yeah.
And he's involved with a woman that is quite narcissistic.
Yeah, covert narcissistic.
Okay, and she's poisoning her children against him, or do they share children and she's poisoning?
No, totally taking the 100% of the custody of the children, and then now my brother is almost crying because cannot see the kids, and also manipulating the kids against him. So every visit that they are gonna have, the kids are attacking him because the
Okay,
mother is constantly.
so bringing it back to the point of why loving a narcissist is not exactly wine and roses. You could see that maybe he put a lot into the relationship, and maybe what she did was take a lot from the relationship, and now she's
Yeah,
aligning the children as flying monkeys against him and using
correct.
the entire system against him. So what's happening to him? He's getting, to use the roses metaphor, he's dying roses, wilting roses, and who's losing?
Correct.
Really, everybody's losing, right? The children are
Correct.
not gaining by being positioned to attack him. He's certainly hurting from it, and what is she getting out of it? I don't know. Maybe power and control. We're back to power and control.
Definitely. Power control, financial, and everything. So it's like taking all the kids and against him. So it's every control. He doesn't have no control at all, and he also traps on this. And what is his concern is how can I save? How can I save my kids out of this situation? And how can I save myself of this love and wrong love relationship? Because the kids is gonna learn the same uh, narcissistic love, and he doesn't want the kids know about that. So learn the correct way of loving.
All right, so loving is not manipulation. We agree with that. Yes? Loving is when,
Correct. Yeah.
right? When you enhance the person and the person enhances you. But when we're injured, we don't understand the concept of vulnerability. We don't understand the concept of enhancement because the blueprint, usually the blueprint mommy, daddy, didn't do their um, attachment theory job of offering the child eye contact, skin contact, unconditional love, consistency, safety, and so on. And when that fails, then the new relationships bring in the same kind of issues of unsafety and failure to really be there for another. And, as Bobby said, have another person's back. So first of all, when things get that complicated, where the children are being turned against him, things can
Correct.
get, like they can get legal. So I would, if I were him, consult a really good attorney that specializes in child custody arrangements, somebody that can represent him and make a case for parent alienation. I'm sure a term that you're very familiar with. Most people are. I'll give you a quick synopsis of what I mean. Is when one parent, again, using their own children as flying monkeys, are used to alienate another parent in order to do the narcissistic parent's bidding. So, what to do in that case? You hire an attorney and you present
Uh-huh.
a parent alienation case. Okay, you don't try to fight this alone um, because it's too embroiled. Understood?
Understood. Yes, but the case the judge goes with the manipulation because she lost the case because the judge believed all of her manipulation and cries, the phony cries, and all this doing show in the court. So it's hard for the system to recognize that this is like totally fake things that she is, because none of the judges are educated about the narcissistic behavior, though. And even that thing is, they don't know.
You're so right that the court system is so behind the eight ball in being educated into narcissistic system, and they fall prey. However, I have to tell you that sometimes people screw up too many times and they keep going back to court, especially if your brother keeps a very strong paper trail. Okay. You kind of have to count on them messing up, screwing up so bad that the judge will say, "Oh my gosh, you're back here for the second or third time. Oh, I finally see what's going on." But it has to be through a good attorney that they can um, highlight this. You understand?
Do you know any attorney that they are familiar with the narcissistic personality and they can reveal all the lies and manipulation?
Well, I know that Rebecca Zung does a lot of education on how to divorce a narcissist. She's been on my show. I've been on her show. She's well versed. She doesn't take on cases herself because she's very busy with books and videos and YouTube and so on. But you could look her up because she's got programs on how to divorce a narcissist, how to beat them at their own game, so on and so forth. So you can Google this kind of thing, but he should definitely not give up. And at some point, hopefully, the kids will grow up and everything that she did to alienate the parent, hopefully, will be brought to the surface at some point in their life, because she will go too far. She's already gone too far.
I hope so about that. Could you repeat the name of the attorney that you said that maybe I can talk to them?
Yeah. She doesn't take on new cases, but she educates people on how to deal with narcissists legally. She's an attorney. And her name is Rebecca Zung. She's highly seasoned at understanding the legalities. So, sometimes we've got to, like a murderer, right? Maybe they can get away with it, but eventually they're going to mess up and they're going to make a mistake and they're going to leave a trail. And then that trail will be enough evidence for the detectives to go after it and convict the criminal. Understood?
Understood, yes. So you're telling me he has to find so many of mistakes that she does and reveal it all for the court system, so this way they know.
Yep, and another mistake that's evident is when the children are having symptoms. Okay, so sometimes it'll show up in their anxiety or their depression, or they're so sick already that they have to go to the therapist, and then therapists are mandated child abuse reporters. So if there's, emotional abuse, unfortunately, in our field, is not mandatedly reportable, but there's an option to report if the emotional abuse is horrible. And so, you see, you've got to track all of this and catch the person and then expose with a qualified professional so that the manipulation can stop. Okay, so
yes.
See what needs to be done here. Yes?
Yes, yeah. The problem is right now she has the total 100% custody, and she has a higher hand, and she's controlling over the therapies, controlling over which kid's gonna come and see him, and feeding them all these things. So it's basically there is no control from my brother's side, and it's just out of control in so many ways. And even we do. Go ahead.
Okay, so look, if she has 100% custody, then any judge in his or her right mind would have to make sure that your brother is the devil for her to have 100% custody. That doesn't make sense, okay? Unless he's abused the children and done something way out in left field, most parents do not get 100% custody. They just
Oh,
don't.
really? Oh, okay.
Okay, they just don't, because 100% custody is for somebody with a deadbeat mom and dad, or a mom or dad that's so wrapped up in drugs they just have no capacity to raise their children, or somebody who's been so abusive or neglectful that child protective services have to be called. This is where you end up with 100% custody. But again, we want to follow the law. What did your brother do that she now has full custody? I don't know. And probably not enough to get 100% loss of custody. So these are the things that he should be asking a lawyer, like, uh, excuse me, why is it that the court's ordered 100%? What did I do? Did I beat the children? Did I molest the children? Did I neglect the children? What justify why I'm getting 0% custody? Why don't we start there?
Okay, that's a good start. Yeah, to change the 100% first, and the kids. How can we save the kids as far as when they are attacking everybody in the family? Because she constantly feeds the wrong stuff.
Right, this is very challenging because children are taught to be loyal, and if she's 100% in control, they're taught to be loyal to her, okay? And if they're taught to be loyal to her, then he is the enemy. So something,
yeah,
if you look at my mind map, something has to break down in order to break through. So let's see panel 6. Break down, break through. Sometimes the system of narcissism has to crash and burn in order to break down. And so we cannot, going back to the topic of loving a narcissist, well, they're not loving you back. So where's the love? Where is the light? Where is the synergy? There is none. So there's no wine, there's no roses, there's no love. Because the person that's loving the narcissist, which obviously he did love her at some point, miscalculated and put something into the system that was not going to be paid back to him, and not only not paid back, was going to work against him. So for him, I would say, do the work and the therapy so he doesn't end up with another narcissist. Understood?
Understood. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you said on panel 6, it shows how to break the narcissistic trait on yours.
Okay, so panel 6 in the process of the mind map, and for those of you who don't know, on my website, psychologicalhealingcenter.com, I put the entire introduction to the Healing from Narcissistic Abuse video, which I created. And for this Valentine's Day week, just if you want to purchase the video, it's $300 off just for this week. So just call me and tell me that you know it's $300 off. It's my program for healing. But specifically, panel 6 is where the system breaks down, okay? Because the quicker the person involved with the narcissist becomes the truth teller and the lie buster, the quicker the narcissistic system will break down. And that's why narcissists go from one person who is more evolving and healing and dropping them because now they know too much. They might as well just go to somebody new and naive and not aware, and then they could pull the wool over their eyes, and that's going to work out much better for them than dealing with somebody who has seen the light, so to speak. Okay, so remember, narcissists prey on people who are not insightful enough to catch what they're doing. That's why this program is designed to educate people to catch what the narcissist is doing why they even signed up in the first place, and why the system is only going to go downhill, and why healing is so important so that you don't recapitulate the system and sign up for another narcissist and do what I call the WTF, or the what the Freud repetition principle. Okay, so there are a lot of layers to this. He's got to
Yeah, yeah.
heal himself, and then he's got to get a strong person to fight and say unacceptable. What do you mean 100%? What is he, a murderer or something, or a child abuser, or you know, an alcoholic and drug, you know, why 100%? What happened?
Okay, okay, yeah, I understand. I get that. She's like always 5 or 6 a step ahead of my brother, so that's why it's like we get surprised all the time. I'm like, what the hell is this now? I
Right,
was like,
exactly. So sometimes you have to get an expert to intervene and speak on his behalf, because she's so good at triggering him and making him feel like a zero that pretty soon he even thinks, maybe I don't deserve the children. Maybe she's right. I don't know how far it goes there, but sometimes you need somebody that's not emotionally involved to catch the tricks and the manipulations, okay? And expose them to the judge.
yeah, that's very true, very true. And as far as my brother, he thinks it's all his problem, and if he was better than who he is, and he's very calm, very loving and caring, he thinks if I was better than what it was, it wouldn't happen like that. And I don't know how can I heal a person like that, though. It's important for him to understand it's not your fault. It's that system was going this way. She was trying to manipulate you for so many years.
Yeah, so okay, so let's go back to the cause. The main cause is that he signed up for her in the first place. And why does that happen? Because it's multi-generational, because something in our own family system um, wounds us in such a way that we pick people that are one-way street ticket to hell. Get it? One-way street.
Yes, yes.
You love
Mm-hmm.
the narcissist does not love you. You're vulnerable and intimate with the narcissist, so you think, and they are controlling and manipulating you through your own vulnerability. It's nasty.
Correct.
Okay?
It's very nasty.
Very nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you, doctor. I appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. Thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Wine and roses, I don't think so. Love, I don't think so. Love and narcissism don't go together. We could call it, I don't know, all kinds of words: addiction, trauma bond, love bond gone wrong, one way street ticket to hell. But this is not love. Love is generative. Okay, 1 plus 1 is greater than 2. I have your back, you have my back. I'm invested in your psycho spiritual uh, growth, you're invested in mine. There's a mutual teamwork of elevating each other. In the narcissistic system, doesn't work that way. Somebody is climbing and the other is being pushed down or even out. You see that? So if you've had a glorious Valentine's Day with a narcissist and somehow you're not feeling all that glorious, then take a look at the system gone wrong. Take a look at your definition of love. Take a look at aspects like love bombing, because they're good at faking love. Just, you know, buy more roses, buy more wine, tell more lies, future fake, make sure that the person is going to work hard to get some sort of a commitment prize, which never will come. Or even if it does come, it's not a commitment for growth, it's a commitment for being locked in some kind of psychological prison, often for life, because it's hard to get out of these things. And when you do get out, there's a lot of withdrawal. Okay, when you break a toxic bond, there's going to be a withdrawal, a love withdrawal. Okay, much like a heroin addict that is withdrawing from heroin, there is a withdrawal process. So for those of you who did celebrate Valentine's Day with their love, congratulations for picking somebody that is evolutionary and not devolutionary, for picking somebody that is safe and nourishing and loving. And we can all learn how to heal ourselves so that we can neither be narcissistic and destructive to others nor fall for the narcissistic tricks of love bombing and faking it and future faking it, and really attend to making sure that we are pairing up with somebody safe and nurturing that will offer us love, which is about caring and sharing and investing and deepening intimacy and deepening all levels of connection. So I hope you learned something today, and I really appreciate you calling in and being in the chat room and listening in. And I will see you next week. Happy post Valentine's Day.